Welcome to Inside IU Softball with Michelle Gardner. I'm Dave Leno exclusively for IUHoosiers.com. The Hoosiers went 3-2 yet again this past weekend. Coach, you guys lost to Florida, but were very resilient against San Diego State.
Well, I really felt as though we pulled together. I thought Morgan threw a great game against Florida. Her obstacle was walks, but then again, we still have to be able to score some runs. And 14 strikeouts against that team is amazing. So, threw very well. San Diego State's a very good team, been receiving votes, will do well in their conference. And to be able to pull out that win was huge for us.
I want to ask you the relationship between Morgan and Cassie, because it seems like the two are flowing very nicely with one another.
Yes, and I think as a pitcher at this level, you have to have someone behind the plate you can work with. And, her and Cassie have really seemed to gel. And, it's still a matter of doing the things that we need to do all the way around the field.
Now, how about the amount of pitches Morgan has thrown? Does that concern you, or is that exactly what she has anticipated going in?
I feel like it's what we've kind of anticipated going in. Yes, I'd like to see a couple of the other kids get a few more innings, but at this point, it's kind of strategic, and, we're doing the things that we need to do. So when we get into Big Tens, we're ready to compete, and we go down then, we're only playing 2 games a weekend as opposed to 5, which will make a huge difference. But Morgan's a workhorse. She kind of always has been, and I just think that's one of her strengths.
You put up a great contest against number 14 Cal. You played them early on. You lost to them, unfortunately, in the 9th inning. They came back and won 4-3. But this is not a game of should have, could have. You want to kind of wipe that out, don't you? And say, hey, we were in it, but let's move on, right?
Yes, I would like to wipe that out and say we were in it and potentially should have won that game. But, if you look at the competition we faced week in and week out, that would have been a great win, but we still were competing, and that's kind of when the bottom line comes down, we've got to be able to pick up a win like that somewhere. But I still love the fact that we're competing every game. It doesn't matter who's on the other side. We're coming out and doing the things we have to do.
On the final day, you played Cal State Fullerton and Loyola Marymount. Got 2 very good performances in that contest. Let's start, first of all, with Ashley Warm, a freshman. She had 5 hits on the afternoon.
She did. And, periodically I've been putting her into pinch hit and have felt like she's had great at-bats. And, I wouldn't say that we didn't have a ton of offense this past weekend, so kind of shook it up again because, as you know, my lineup hasn't been the same every week or every game. Wanted to give her an opportunity to show what she could do, and she took control of that situation. And, I was just real happy for her and obviously for us because, she led to quite a few different things happening on the field.
One of the few crucial plays in the night against the Lions, Megan Murphy, diving catch, steps up and throws a gun over to Cassie Gogreen. Yes. That's like the 3rd time, I believe, this year where your outfielders have gunned someone out at the plate.
Well, we've had some good performances out there, and Megan Murphy she has a cannon for an arm, and to be quite honest, she had to get up and get rid of that ball pretty quick to get the out. But as hard as she throws, it didn't really seem as close as it appeared. But, Cassie was standing there with the ball waiting for the kid to get there, which was kind of amazing to me. But, Meg's a great athlete all the way around. She had a pretty good weekend hitting also. So it's kind of like, I think we're seeing bits and pieces. Bree didn't put up quite the numbers this weekend that she had the past weekend, but yet somebody else kind of picked up the slack, which is what I've said about this team all, from the beginning, is everybody has to do their job. And if you're not doing your job, someone else has to pick up the slack. And I kind of felt like that this weekend and, was quite frankly very happy to see that.
There were 33 teams out there at the Cathedral City Classic, and I know you know a lot of the coaches out there. So what's been the word? What's been circulating around with this Indiana program? How are people familiarizing it with softball around the country?
Well, I through a lot of my coaching counterparts, everyone's like, oh, you're doing a great job. You're so much better, you're getting where you need to be, just comments like that. And, of course, from my standpoint, I want to be up there right now, not yesterday or not next week. It's like I'm ready right now to be in that top group. But, we're still plugging away, and I really feel like I think we surprised San Diego State a little bit. I don't think they quite expected what we brought. And quite frankly, Cal. We had Cal on the ropes, and after that game, Diane was like, "Oh my gosh, this was a great game, even compared to the game we played in at Arizona State. So, it feels good because I do feel like we're on the right track. I feel like we've got pieces in place. And, Morgan for one season's a huge addition. And, you can't take that lightly. And she puts us in a position. But what she also does is teaches my younger student athletes to compete. So they expect to win. And that, just the whole outcome of how you feel when you go into a game really makes a difference at the end, because we are competing, I think, at a much higher level than we have in the past.
On the other side, Nate Weekers will chat with student manager Lindsay Hogue and student assistant coach Catherine Allert.
All right, thanks, Dave. I'm here with student assistant coach Kat Allert and student manager Lindsay Hogue. Thanks for joining us today. First of all, Kat, we'll start with you. What's your role with the team as a student assistant coach?
I take on many roles. I am a catcher in the bullpen. I help coach out with that. I also do some charts for the scouting reports, and I also help set up practices and do front toss and stuff like that. So,
Lindsay, how about you?
My role with the team is during games I film, and I'm in the outfield filming the batter and the pitchers. And then during practice, I'm setting up practice and just running the machine or just different drills for the girls.
Being part of IU softball now, the second year for both of you, what's been your favorite part so far, Kat?
My favorite part has to be the coaches and the atmosphere. The coaches are very warm and funny, and yet they're still down to earth and ready to play softball at the same time.
Lindsay?
My favorite part is like the coaches as well, and then like just the team. Like we all get along, and it's just a family. And also traveling all over is pretty fun too. So,
being around the softball team, obviously you played softball growing up. Just talk a little bit about where you played, things that you did growing up with softball, Kat.
Well, I started playing when I was 6 years old. I started playing competitively at the ASA level travel ball team when I was 12 years old, and I was on the Orland Park Sparks for 7 years. I played high school at Lowell in Indiana with Pete Usage, and we went to state twice, which was really awesome. So those are probably my highlights.
Lindsay?
I played since I was little again, but I never got into the travel ball. Just played other sports as well. And then I played high school ball at Macaulay High School in Cincinnati, and just fell in love with the sport and couldn't leave it. So.
And talk a little bit, both of you, about what brought you to Indiana. How'd you end up here, Kat?
I was recruited for Indiana softball. Indiana chose me, and the academics fit perfectly, and I love IU.
For me, I wasn't going to play, so, I just picked a school that fit me, and IU has my major and had, just everything that I fell in love with when I came on campus. And, I just emailed Coach and was like, hey, I just want to be involved. Is there anything that I can do to, be a part of your team? And that's how I got involved with managing. So.
All right, well, Lindsay, Kat, thanks for joining us today. Dave, we'll throw it back to you.
Thank you very much, guys. Coach, you go to another tough area in the country, down to Athens, Georgia, at the Bulldog Invitational, and you're going to play Georgia twice, ranked number 1 in the country.
Mm-hmm. And I was actually glad to see that they were still number 1 after last weekend. They had a loss in Cathedral City, but yet, they played a tough schedule too. So I just feel like this is a great opportunity for us to go down there and play them 2 tough ball games, and I want to come out with some wins. And in my opinion, I think anybody's beatable, because obviously we saw some big upsets last weekend across the board. Oklahoma dropped some games that I don't think anybody thought they should drop, and a few things like that. So it's anyone's ball game. It's going to be tough playing in Athens because they're at home. But yet, if we come out and do the things we've been doing, find a way to put up some runs and get good pitching, then those games could go either way.
At the previous tournaments, you guys have been switching fields left and right, maybe only have an hour and a half window in between, but here I believe you're going to be staying with that same field.
Oh yeah, which makes a difference. I mean, although preseason is about tournaments, and it's about different fields and whatever, and you don't ever, I don't think, get in a comfort zone with one field or another, but it'll be nice to be in one facility and not having to run around. But here, I believe just play. Bring it on. I don't care where we play.
You have Chattanooga, Campbell, James Madison to culminate this tournament. Do you know anything about these teams?
Not really off the top of my head. I mean, obviously we have scouting reports and have looked at all of them, and everybody's pretty competitive in their conferences. And this is really the first time we're going to see couple more East Coast teams, because obviously it's, we were in Florida, we saw some, but our first 2 tournaments were out west, so we saw a lot more Western schools. We're trying to play teams that are in different regions, the best teams we can in different regions, which will help us at the end of the season. So that's kind of what I'm looking at.
We're getting into the 4th preseason tournament. We're getting slowly closer to the Hoosier Classic when you guys will debut here. So what are some areas still, and we say this time and time again, that you still want to see improved upon?
I'd like to see our offense improve. It's tough because we have been facing the best pitchers in the country, but we need to be a little more productive offensively. And even if we're not necessarily more productive offensively, we need to be putting some more balls in play. I feel like we've had way too many strikeouts and strikeouts in crucial situations where put the ball on the ground, make them make a play, as opposed to giving them an out like that. So really, I think that's kind of been our focus a little bit this week in preparation for Georgia. Obviously we know about some of the pitchers we're going to face and have kind of been preparing for that. And the bottom line is it doesn't really matter. We still have to come. You got to put up a run to win a ball game, and if we can stay in games and get a couple runs eked out here and there, we're going to be in business. But once this team clicks offensively, I feel like we will score runs.
So are you picking a movie for this trip, an 8-hour bus ride down to Athens? Any favorite movies you're going to put out there?
No, I'm not picking movies.
I will have to bring my Oscar collection. On behalf of Coach Michelle Gardner, Nate Winkers, Catherine Allert, and Lindsay Hogue, I'm Dave Leno. Best wishes, everyone.